So I'm not about to hold y'all. This soft guy era drizzle shit has me weak. Ladies are taking it so serious. Number one, this is clearly satirical in nature. Like they're taking it to the extreme, but be for real. But ladies, day after day, week after week, these are videos that women have been making and posting all over TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. So we already knew, honestly, that they were going to get back, but we just didn't know how.
10 million men have stopped working, and now society is beginning to take notice. Today's video comes from the How Money Works channel. Their channel will be linked in the description, so you go check them out and support them. Guys, watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of men not working and how this is having a drastic effect on society. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
4 years ago, America and the rest of the world saw its most intense spike in unemployment in recorded history. In today's news cycle, that is ancient history. But what isn't ignored is what has been left behind. There are now over 10 million people, mostly men in America, who are not working, not studying, not retired, and not institutionalized. They are just doing nothing. COVID accelerated this trend, but it's been going on for decades. Since the 1960s, about 0.1% of American men have given up on work to never come back every single month. So why are so many people giving up so consistently?
Because a man without love for country or for family will fight for neither. Modern men don't have a single dog in the fight.
And more importantly, how are these people surviving without a job in this economy?
In October, Mississippi's labor force participation rate was nearly 54%, while the national rate was over 62%.
How many jobs on these two websites?
It's been over 1,000 combined.
They're not working and they're not looking for a job, and those are the folks who we have to get into the labor market.
Why aren't some Americans getting back to work? It's the million-dollar question.
There are a lot of reasons why someone might not participate in the labor force. They might have retired, they might be still studying for qualifications, there might be people who are too sick to work, stay-at-home spouses, members of the military who are clearly working but don't officially count as part of the labor force, and then of course there are just really rich people who don't need to work to maintain their lifestyle.
What you have here are men who are challenging our conventional understanding of economics. When a man has a family, he has to provide for a woman, for their children, for everyone. But when a man remains single, his cost of living substantially decreases. All he has to do is provide for himself, and he gets to keep everything for himself. Consider this. You have 3 kids. You have to buy video games for, consoles for all of your kids. You have to buy food for all of your kids and your wife and her needs. You have to provide roofing, shelter for everyone. You have to make everyone comfortable. Hence, you have to now work extra hard. You don't have a wife, you don't have kids, your only focus is yourself. Guess what? The money that you'd also be spending on a family, you can now take that money, and not only will you use it for cost of living expenses, but you can also invest it. So now over time, your money is growing. Even just letting it sit in a savings account is earning you a massive return every year. If you have $100,000 in the bank, and you're getting a 5% return a year, it may not sound like a big deal, but that's $5,000. $5,000 a year that you are getting back for doing absolutely nothing. Now consider this, when you have men who are basically living this life for a couple of years or for even a decade, and they accrue something like $500,000 or $1 million. Let's say you accrue $1 million in the bank, but yet again, you're not spending that money. So now you're getting, at a 5% interest, you're getting about $50,000 a year in just income. And everything that you own is a one-time purchase. A lot of these dudes are shiesty. I know, because I speak to you guys in the comments. Many of you have things like gaming PCs that you purchased 5 years ago, sometimes even 10 years ago, and you bastards refuse to let go of it, saying that you will not let go of it until you are no longer off this earth. You will not buy new clothes unless you need new clothes. Okay? These are, again, one-time purchases. Shout out to the floor gang, because there are also many of you who are happily sleeping on the floor. Women do not understand men or economics. You see, women have an emptiness inside of them that constantly needs to be filled through consumerism and consumption. Men, on the other hand, can be very, very comfortable with very little. In fact, for the average man, not every man, but for the average man, simplicity is luxury. Having less is more for a man. Because that means you have less to worry about and less to deal with. This is the thing that men are going for. So no wife, no kids, you have no love for family, no love for community, because you look at the country and you say, why would I fight for a country that hates me? I am not a citizen within this country. I'm a borderline slave. So, the state only wants me for my money and my utility, and then as soon as it gets it, it discards me. I am essentially disposable. So I'm not going to fight for my society. I'm not going to fight for my country. I'm basically just going to live a life where I focus on self-care and self-preservation. When you have women who are out there in society telling men that, they're going to view them negatively if they use if they use a Samsung or an Android instead of an iPhone, more and more men are realizing, why am I even going to be bothered? Society has basically pushed women to become the absolute thing that men would desire the least and would want to have involved in their lives the least. Women don't even seem to comprehend it. They think that these are the best times for them. They don't understand that the darkest times are yet to come. Guys, I also want to point this out because I was the only one that kept on saying this. There's this bullshit going around that, oh, it's only 3 million men. I told you guys it's over 30 million men. Over 30 million men have dropped out of the workforce. The media kept on tossing around this bullshit statistic that it was 3 million men. It's our 3.7 million men. It's not. Now they're saying it's 10 million men. Guys, it's over 30 million men. Over 30 million men have dropped out of the workforce. Okay? And basically, it's not that all of these men don't work at all. Many of them don't. Some of these men, they only work when they have to. So, for example, if you have a substantial amount of money in the bank, substantial could be $20,000 or $30,000. Substantial could even be $10,000. There's a rule of $10,000 where basically, once you've saved your first $10,000, no matter what happens in your life, you could usually take care of almost anything, be it taxes, be it your car breaking down, be it any big life emergency. Typically $10,000 can cover it. Is it going to fix every problem in your life? No, but it's a very massive starting point. So when you have so many guys that don't have families, don't have kids, don't have relationships that are achieving that, now they basically can look at life from a different perspective where they only have to cover their rent, they only have to cover their food expenses, and then everything else can go to leisure. And most guys don't need much to survive. The average man could live happily in a shoebox at the side of the road. As a result of that, that's what guys are doing. They're choosing to live simple lives of comfort and luxury, and avoiding society, a society that hates them. Really, being involved in relationships with people who just want their attention, their time, and their money, but don't actually want them. And of course, you have society freaking out because men are walking away. Well, guess what? Men are walking away and they're not looking back. That's what MWA is. MWA is men with alternatives, and men are choosing from their best alternatives, avoiding toxic relationships, toxic environments, and also just choosing what works best for them. And if the average man realizes what works best for him is to just walk away from society and relationships and focus on himself and his own happiness.
These groups have always existed, but there is a new group growing alongside them, which are people who have just given up. The fastest growing group of these labor force dropouts have been men between the ages of 25 and 55. Men in this age range would typically be in the prime of their careers, but more and more of them are not working at all. Now, some of this can simply be explained by the fact that more women have entered the workforce. In fact, up until 2008, women were entering the workforce almost as quickly as men were leaving it. Some men just took on domestic roles as stay-at-home husbands while their wives or partners focus on their careers instead. According to Pew Research, young women are now earning significantly more than young men in most major cities in America. Young women are also graduating college at higher rates than men. So it makes sense that a growing group of men are tossing aside typical gender roles and doing work that doesn't get counted as typical employment.
Now, notice, guys, what he said. Young women, and this is something that goes back to the 90s, are far out earning. So in the 90s, women were out earning men. All right. We knew that women were out earning, younger women were out earning men. And the only time when their wages would go down is when they would decide to focus on, getting married and starting a family. In 2024, young women are far out earning men. Far out earning men. And yet they continue to push the lie and the myth of the gender wage gap. Okay? The gender pay gap. Y'all see that? No matter how many times, we've said it doesn't exist. So guys, this is how corrupt society is. Women have all the cookies for themselves increasingly, and then they continue to say that they're victims. They are powerful victims. Men are pathetic villains. And they will continue to repeat the lie over and over and over. So what are men doing? Men are walking away. Guys, look at the port strike right now. What's happening when 45,000 men say fuck you and that they're not going to work anymore? Men can shut. Guys, we're going to be heading into absolute hell. Because, I mean, even things like water are going to become scarce. Many of you guys don't understand shit about life. You're like, water angry? Angry, you don't know what you're talking about. Just shut the fuck up. Really, really, little bro? You're the little bro. You're the little bro. There was a TikTok video I saw where someone said, they referred to Sims as the little homies. You're the little homie, all right? Because you don't understand where many of the products come from in our society. You don't understand, how is plastic made? Where does the plastic come from? Where do all of these things come from to even house the water? For example, you hear Poland Springs, okay? Part of it is spring water, part of it is tap, okay? But where do the bottles come from? Where do the containers come from? Okay? Where do the materials come from to make those things? A lot of that shit comes from China. You see, what you don't take into consideration is that China has different laws on mining for precious materials and things that we use in everyday products around us. So just for a lot of the basic things that we have, that stuff comes from overseas. It's not just one thing. We're like, oh, everything is self-sustainable and everything we need is in the US. No, it's not, you jackass. It's not. Guys, I told you, so many of these men who talk shit, they couldn't even wipe their own ass when if hell on earth erodes, if hell on earth erupts. Because if you're looking at the whole port situation where the ports are being shut down, all the port workers are going on strike, fuck those guys. Nothing will be coming in or going out of the US. Like basically, that's the end of that. They're shutting everything down. Most of the things that come into the US come in through the ports. Are some things flown in on jets? Yes, absolutely. It's extremely expensive to fly shit into the US, and it's not feasible to fly everything in. So while they're going to shut shit down and some things will still make it to the US, it's going to result in prices skyrocketing for everything. And when this thing is finally sorted out, I guarantee you the prices will never go back down. Just like what happened last time that we had a supply chain issue where there was a supply chain issue after the events of 2020 and it caused prices to go up and the prices never came back down. It's going to happen again, and it's going to cause prices of everything to go up and never come back down ever again. Right now, we have we still have, things that are reasonably priced when it comes to televisions and some electronics, even though some of you guys are going to bitch and moan. Guess what? The prices are just going to skyrocket for a lot of basic shit, and they're never going to come back down. Okay, we're going to experience hyperinflation for those things. And they're never going to come back down. It's going to affect food. It's going to affect water. It's going to affect everything around us. This is what happens when men say, fuck you. Men can shut down the world around us very, very easily by just walking away. And now society is beginning to panic because all of these men are not working. And men are the ones who hold society up. Simply put, men are the gatekeepers of society. Men are the gatekeepers of prosperity. Without men, you cannot have a strong society. Without men, women will not have opportunities within society.
If this were the whole story, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with this. But let's be honest. Having a stay-at-home parent, no matter what gender they are, is a luxury that most people simply cannot afford in the modern age, especially young people who are the fastest growing group of labor force dropouts. There is something more going on here.
Now, notice, men, when we talk about stay-at-home mothers, stay-at-home wives that are taking care of the home, raising the family, housewives, basically that is considered, a hard job. Oh, being a mom, being a stay-at-home mom is hard. Having to take care of the house, the kids, that's hard. However, when men are put into the equation, when you're a stay-at-home dad, oh, that's a luxury.
But honestly, I'm not mad. Like, as a woman, I do want to live a soft life. I would love to not have to pull myself up by my bootstraps every single day and do what I gotta do, but I do it anyway. But why is it wrong for men to want a partner to share that with them? Again, I know these videos are extreme, but you understand what they're saying. And ladies, if we be 100% honest, if you love your man, you definitely tricking on him a little bit. I mean, because you're not afraid to share what you have. You're not stingy about spreading the love that you have or the wealth that you have because you want to show that person you love them. But I think we've taken it a little too far. It's a little much. And if you don't have the bandwidth to understand satire or comedy or any of that stuff, and it's just, this conversation was never for you anyway. But okay, SGE, let's see what y'all got next.
You see, men, soft guy era started out as satire, but these men are fucking serious. They are extremely serious, and they are not messing around. They're making it very clear that they're not going to take anything anymore. If a woman wants to be in a relationship with them, she's going to have to bring value to that relationship. A lot of these men are basically letting women know, listen, you make more money than I do. So if you want to be with me, you're going to have to bring some value. All right? What are you going to buy for me? What are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me? Women going around and say, oh, these men give them the icks. Men don't give a shit. Guys, a society without its men is not a society. A society without its men, a country without its men, is a wasteland. And that's the reality that women have now turned Western society into. They don't understand that men are the gatekeepers of society. Men are the gatekeepers. Men are the guardians of the galaxy. Men are the gatekeepers of prosperity. No men, no society. Men built society. Women stole it from us. Men are no longer going to hold it up. All men have to do is say, fuck it. I'm going to stay home and relax and live my best life. A lot of men are going to be growing, even as things get very hard in the coming years. You're going to have more men becoming wealthy than ever before. Because as everything is going downhill, as we're watching meltdowns happening around us, because men are not getting married, men are not having children, men are not prioritizing a family, the resources that they do have are more than enough. Guys, I've already said this. A lot of dudes are more than happy with their gaming PC. At worst case scenario, give a guy a Nintendo Switch Lite, couple of games, Mario Kart. Some of y'all are like, you're happy with Atari or a Super NES or Nintendo 64. Guys, like, I mean, like, I have a Nintendo Switch, I have a Steam Deck, I have the Switch OLED, I have a Steam Deck, Steam Deck OLED, and I just picked up a Switch Lite recently, the Zelda edition, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Is the screen as nice as the OLED? No, but it's much more portable. It's a true handheld. I can play it in bed. I can bring it closer to my face. The battery life is better, evidently. So I'm like literally, and I spend most of my time just playing Mario Kart. I have so many games. I have over 200 games on Steam right now. Over 200 games, most of them purchased this year. 200 games. I've spent around a bit over $3,000. I spent over $3,000 on Steam this year. I spent around, what was it, over 700 on my Steam Deck. And then everything, the rest of that was just basically, or most of the rest of that was basically just on games. And I don't have any children. I don't have a wife. I don't have any of those responsibilities. As men learn how to control their lust and desire for women, they start to realize just how boring most women are. And women basically will stay there. They are so egotistical that they will defend their egos to the very end. They will choose poverty, destitution, and loss of existence over humbling themselves because they can't do it. Women cannot humble themselves. They consider humbling themselves crying and saying that they're victims. Saying I'm a victim. That's it's insane. It's insane, but you have to understand women operate based on feelings, so they're never going to change their ways. Most of them cannot change. Most women cannot change. They will change their tactics, but they will never change their ways because they're just wired differently than men. The wiring of the male brain and the wiring of the female brain are so different that we can essentially be two different species.
Nicholas Eberstadt is a political economist who published the book Men Without Work, which tracked the trend of working-age men simply giving up on work and largely removing themselves from society in the process. His book, which was first published in 2016, lines up perfectly with a 2022 study on the issue conducted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which found that men without a college degree in particular were dropping out of work because their earnings power was significantly lower than their peers who did have a 4-year degree. That's not unusual, because college-educated people should expect to earn more than non-college-educated workers on average. But the finding found that the gap between the two groups had widened significantly, especially amongst college-educated versus non-college-educated men. Now, this was particularly surprising to the researchers because it would actually make more sense that higher income workers would drop out of the labor force because if they are earning a lot of money, they have a better chance of marrying a higher earning spouse or just saving up more money for an early retirement. Instead, they found the opposite. The group that earned less were more likely to drop out of work.
You see, guys, this is where critical thinking and common sense comes in. A lot of people lack critical thinking and common sense. Why is it that a person who doesn't have a college degree would be more likely to not only drop out of society, but be able to drop out of society and support themselves? It's very simple. When you're a college educated person, what do you end up incurring? Large amounts of debt to get your college education. So now that you've gotten that education, you have to go and use that education in the workforce to pay for it, even if you did not incur any debt for your education, that's very, very rare. You still have to go into the workforce because you spent all of these years giving up years of your life to get that degree. So now you have to gain some value from it. Do you see the problem with college degrees? Versus a person who never went to college, who has no student loan debt, and basically, if they go and get a trade, they're gonna out earn their peers. They're gonna make just as much money as their college educated peers, or more, because they can work for themselves. Or there's a variety of different things they can do. For example, they have door dashing. They have door dashing, Uber Eats, Instacart. They have a slew of apps that they can now use to make money as well. There's also day trading. You can sit from the luxury of your home and do day trading. Many of you guys don't understand the power of day trading. It's a very important skill to learn. It's a powerful skill. Basically, it depends on there's different ways you can day trade. You can day trade stocks, you can day trade cryptocurrency, you can day trade currency. The average guy doesn't need a lot, and I'm just kind of sharing my life link, and it has a fast charging. I think it's like 60-watt fast charging. In the end, it's a beast. It's a fucking beast. And I don't spend a lot of money. My cell phone bill is like it's $40 a month for unlimited, and then I also have internet through T-Mobile. So I have their internet service, which is basically just a box, and it's unlimited, and everything costs about like $100. The reason why I have that is for business because of you jerker, you assholes, because you guys were complaining about the visual quality and everything. So I upgraded all of my equipment. I'm using a MacBook Pro M1 with a Pro processor. So it's an absolute beast. I kind of wish I had gotten the Max, but it was so expensive. And I didn't want to spend the extra like $1,000 at the time. It was somewhere between like, would have been like $700 extra, some between $700 and $1,000. I just didn't want to spend the extra $1,000 to get that. But I do have a MacBook Pro M1 Pro chip. So it's an absolute beast that I have right there for you guys. And then I have a monthly subscription to some software that removes the background noise in the videos. So it takes out the background noise. I'm using an XLR microphone right now. I had a condenser microphone. I'm using an XLR microphone, and then I have an audio interface. So I've got an audio mixer that allows me to also improve the audio. And I did all of that just for you, just for you. And every single video is now being edited as well. And by the way, guys, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Get insights on manosphere topics, exclusive podcasts, and strategies to thrive in today's world. Free subscribers get access to videos, podcasts, articles, and the community chat. Plus, just for subscribing, you'll receive the passive income blueprint to kickstart your journey. Paid subscribers unlock even more with exclusive guides, wealth building blueprints, and regular updates on crypto trends. Don't wait, click the link in the description and join us now. Ultimately, where this will lead to for women in society is basically increased rates of destitution, poverty, hardship, because men are the gatekeepers of society and men are the gatekeepers of prosperity. Men are the protectors of society. Men were once the protectors of women, but women traded men in for the state. So women are going to have to deal with the consequences of those decisions. What do you guys think regarding all of this? The fact that over 10 million men have stopped looking for work, are no longer working, and are just basically chilling at home and living their best lives. It's really over 30 million. Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.